Hi, this is Vikas Singh from Horizon, and today's video I am going to show you installation of System Center Configuration Manager 2016. Also, we'll do some post-installation configuration tasks. So, if you need our help to set up the System Center infrastructure for you, you can contact us. Our highly technical engineers are there to help you without any cost. So, let's begin. So what I'm going to focus on this video, installation of System Center, and we'll do some post installation configuration tasks like creating boundaries and setting up the discovery for System Center forest and users computers, these things. So let's see what is our demo environment. So we are using two virtual machine here to give you this demo. So the first machine is Win2K12 GC01, which is my Active Directory server. You can see my my both machines is running on Windows Server 2012 R2 standard edition. So here is my Active Directory server. You can see it's Win2K12 GC01, domain name is horizon.co. If I go here, you can see Active Directory and DNS role is running on this machine, and this is basically Active Directory server. And second server is SCCM 2016, on which we are going to install a System Center 2016 product. So you can see here detail. If I go here, you can see this is a fresh installed virtual machine. I have not installed any role, any feature on this machine. So what we have just done, we have install the operating system Windows Server 2012 R2, and we have renamed this machine join in domain, and that's all. So you can see I have assigned 24 gig of RAM to this virtual machine, and this is my machine. So on this we are going to install a System Center. So let's do a step-by-step task. So here you can see the step-by-step configuration manager 2016 installations. So 2016 product System Center product installation involves 8 major tasks which we need to perform to complete the installation. So the first task is create a system management container. So I'm going to create a system manager container in my Active Directory. So on Active Directory server, I'm going to click on tools, ADSI edit. I'm going to connect my domain with this LDAP server. So I'm connected with LDAP server, and I'm going to click right click object, and we need to create a container. Click next and call it like system management. So click next and click on finish. So now you can see this is created, and now I'm going to give this system management container delegation access on my this computer account, which is SCCM 2016, with the full control. So I'm going to use Active Directory users and computers, and enable a feature which is advanced feature. Then we have a system management container here. Right click and delegate controls. So click next, and now I need to search this computer account SCCM 2016. So I'm going to mark computers here and SCCM 2016 search. So now click next, and we need to create a custom task to delegate. Click next and go with the default option, and here we need to select the all three options, so 3 permissions, and we need to go for full control. Click next, and now we can click finish, and let's verify the permissions. If I go to properties, security, and you need to click on advanced, you will get the computer account here, SCCM 2016 dollar, this computer account, showing computer accounts. So it's have access to full control to this object and all dependents in objects. So we can go ahead and click OK. So we are done this with this System Center container creation. So the next task is extend Active Directory schema for System Center. So I'm going to do it now. So I mounted the 2016 installation media, open, go to SCCM setup bin, and we have I386. I'm going to type ext, and we have extend AD schema. So double click on it. It will going to execute the extension for schema. And now if I go to C drive, and we have a one text file here. If I open, you can see successfully extended Active Directory schema. So we are done with this, and now we can go ahead and close this. And now we can move to next step, which is install prerequisite role and features on Configuration Manager 2016 server. So we need to do this. So this is a 2016 SCCM server. So need to open a PowerShell, run as administrator. Yes, I want to run. So I have copied the script here, which is going to add IIS and bits and basically all the required role and features for SCCM 2016. So I'm going to run it. So you can go ahead and get this script from Microsoft website on a TechNet. So we need to wait for a few seconds here till the time this installation is completed. Then we can proceed with the next step, which is install Windows ADK, Windows 10 ADK. So wait for few minutes here. So now you can see the installation is succeeded. Restart required, no. So we are good to go. Close this. And on the next step, we need to install Windows ADK. So I have already mounted the Windows ADK installation media. So going to run this ADK setup. So Windows assessment and deployment kit, Windows 10. Click next. We need to participate in Windows ADK. So I'm not going to participate. This is the lab environment. So I accept the license agreement. And for this, we need to install a few features, which is like USMT, ICD, Windows P deployment. These four tools are important. So we are going to select these four tools only and click install. It's going to run the installation, and it will take a few seconds to get the installation. And next step, we need to install SQL Server and install and configure SQL Server 2014. So we need to wait for this Windows ADK 10 installation complete. So almost 60% done. So now Windows ADK 10 is installation complete. So close this. Now we'll take one reboot, then we will start installing SQL Server. So I'm going to reboot my SCCM 2016 server. So hit Ctrl+Del to log in. So we are good to go. You can see IIS is installed now. So I have already mounted SQL Server 2014 with respect to installation media in my SCCM server. So we can go ahead and run the setup, and we'll do the installation and configuration for SQL Server 2014, which is required for SCCM database. So need to click on install SQL Server installation and new SQL Server in standalone installation. Need to wait for a few seconds for the installation wizard. So I'm going to use the evolution version as this is the demo environment. Click next. I accept the license terms. Click next. It's going to check the global rules, so it will take some time. So it's checking if everything is passed or not. So everything is passed, it's moved to next. So click next on Microsoft Update, and we are skipping the Microsoft product update for now. Now it's copying the installations file, so it will take some time here. Now it's checking for once again for roles. So everything is passed. We have a few warning in firewall and .NET application security, so we are good to go. Click next, and on a setup role we need to go with the default, which is SQL Server features installation. So click next. Now basically for SQL System Center 2016 we need a database engine, reporting services if you want to configure SCCM reporting, and the management studio. So let's select these three things. Click next. So if you want, you can rename the SQL instance. I'm going to use the default instance name, which is MS SQL Server. So click next. It's going to revalidate the instance name and everything. So we're good to go, and now we need to provide the account here. So I'm going to use my origin/SCCM admin account here for the SQL Server to run these services. So the password again, we need to put the password here. Now we can go ahead and click next. It will validate the credential. If everything goes well, then we will go to next. So here database engine configuration, I'm going to add my current user, which is SCCM admin, to give access on SQL Server Windows authentication mode. So good to go. Click next. Now reporting services, install and configure, which is default, so I'm going with the default option. Click next. Now you can see what we have just selected during the installation. It's all given in detail, and we can move to click on install to move to installations, start the installation. So this installation will take around 5 to 10 minutes to get the installation done for SQL Server. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the recording for now. Once the installation is done for SQL Server, we'll write back and we will continue from there. So stopping the recording for now. So installation is done, everything is succeeded. Now we can go ahead and close this, and we can close installation center also, and we need to do some configuration, memory configuration in SQL. So I'm going to launch SQL Server Management Studio. So let's connect with the Windows authentication. We have already given the permission, and go to right click on server, go to properties, and in memory we are going to assign this around 10 gig to 15,000 MB to SQL. So we are good to go now, and the next step we need to install this install and configure WSUS. So I'm going to configure a Windows Update Service on SCCM server. Click manage, go to add role and features, click next, and it's a role based installation, so click next. On a SCCM 2016 our server, click next. Now we need to go down and we need to select Windows update, Windows Server update services. So it's require few additional features which need to be enabled, so we are good to go. Add features, click next, and then on a feature page leave everything default, click next. On our WSUS, so we are going to install basically WSUS services and WID database, which is the database used by WSUS into WID. So click next. Now we need to define a location where the updates are going to save locally, so I'm going to save it on my C drive. It's recommended to save in another drive, not in OS drive. So as this is dev environment, we are going to use it C drive. So C WSUS, click next, and everything is done. Click on install to run the installation for these required role and features. So you can see it's going to install few features in this web services also under the IS, and finally it will install the WSUS services. So almost done. We need to wait for a few more seconds. So now you can see installation is done. Launch post installation task. If I click here, we can go to close and go to this wizard. You can see that post deployment configuration is running. If I click on task details, you can see it's running. So till the time this task is running, what we can do, we can go ahead and do the next step, which is basically configuring firewall setting for Windows System Center Configuration Manager client. So I'm going to do this now. So on my Active Directory server, I'm going to launch the group policy management console. Here I'm going to create basically one GPO, new GPO for firewall policy. So let's create and call it like SCCM firewall, and I'm going to edit the setting. Right click, go to edit, and there we need to go to computer configurations, policies, Windows settings, security, and we have a Windows firewall with advanced security. So I'm going to open it, and in inbound we need to define few rules. So the main rule we need to define, which is two files, file and print sharing, and WMI. So I'm going to enable file and print first, and now enable the WMI. So for inbound it's done, and now we need to enable for outbound. So filing and sharing, and make sure you are allowing the connection in outbound, and same for WMI. Click on allow the connection. So it's done. Now we can go ahead and close this, and if I go here, you can see WSUS installation is completed and post installation is also completed. So we can go ahead and close it. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open command prompt and gp update to get the forcefully my firewall setting on this machine, which we have just configured on group policy. So wait for a few seconds here, then we will verify. So I'm going to verify now. So rsop.msc, so you can see finally we have IS role and WSUS role is installed on my SCCM server. So to check the policy is coming or not, we need to go to computer configuration, right click, and properties. You can see SCCM-firewall policy is coming, and if I go here, you can see it's applied. So we're good to go. Click OK, and now we are in final step, which is basically run the installation for System Center Configuration Manager 2016. So before running the setup, I would request you to reboot your machine once. So I'm going to reboot my System Center Configuration Manager machine, and then we will start the setup for System Center. So hit Ctrl Del to log in. Now we can go and run the setup. So I have just mounted the installation media for SCCM 2016 in my DVD drive. So double click on it, go to run this. So click on install. Yes, I want to run it. So we need to verify some prerequisites before checking the before initiating the installation wizard. So like full qualified SQL name, SQL is having a valid instance running with the SQL version. So these are the some settings and some prerequisites. So click next. Now what we want to install, so available setup options, we have a configuration manager primary side, administration console, and recovery side. So I'm going to use the first one, which is install a configuration manager primary guide site, as we don't have any SCCM info in origin.co this demo environment. So click next, and I'm going to install the evaluation mode for this product. Click next. I accept the license terms for all the product. So SCCM 2016 requires some prerequisite download, so I'm going to download it on my C drive. Let's create one folder, call it SCCM Prereq, and click OK and click next. Now you can see it's started downloading, and around 54 files total. So you can see your network bandwidth utilization also during this downloads. So it's going to take another few minutes here. So almost 90% file is downloaded now. So around 50 files has been downloaded, and now it's downloading the SQL Server 2016 Evaluation Express version. So almost done downloading for SQL Express. Now it's verifying everything is done. So we have an English version for site. Click next, and same we have an English language for client language selection. So click next, and I'm going to call it like site code 001, and site name is origin HO, install the Microsoft configuration manager console. Yes, I need it. Click next, and I am going to install a standalone site. Click next. This is giving a message. We can always have convert this as a primary site, and we can expand the hierarchy later on. So click yes. This is my SQL Server, where we have just installed a SQL Server. If you have a remote SQL Server, you need to provide the fully qualified domain name for SQL Server and the instance name. Then you need to provide the configuration database name for config manager, and make sure you have opened this port 4022 to connect with SQL Server. So click next. Now it's checking the SQL Server file path and log path. So click next, leave the default SMS provider, the default server SCCM 2016. Click next, and this is giving a message for HTTPS or HTTP connection to the server to client. So I'm going to select the configure this communication method on each site system role basically. So click next. And here you can see the install a management point. Here we are going to install a management point, and here we are going to install distribution point. So this is going to be a MP, and this is going to be a DP. So click next, and diagnose user data. So click next, and now we have a service point creation setup. So I'm going to skip this for now. We can create later on also. So click next, and here's the information which we are going to achieve by this installations. So click next, and now it will check all the prerequisites which is required for SCCM 2016, and if anything goes wrong, it will give you the error message here. So we can go back and fix it, then we can again run the setup. So hopefully we have configured everything is correctly, so we are not going to receive any error. So it will take some time, so we need to wait for few minutes here. So it's given one warning like site server permission to publish in Active Directory. So we have already given administrative rights delegation to this SCCM 2016 server on our infra, so it can do anything related to network, related to server infrastructure. So everything is checked. We have a few one warning related to Active Directory. So we have already know that we have given delegation to our system center server to publish objects in Active Directory. So we are good to go, and click the begin installation to start the installation for System Center Configuration Manager 2016. So this installation will take around 10 to 15 minutes to get the installation done for System Center Configuration Manager 2016. So I'm going to pause the recording here. Once the installation is done, we'll resume from there, and we'll do the some post installation configuration task also. So I'm going to pause the recording here. So now you can see here the core comp setup has been completed. So we can go ahead and close this. Now we can go and launch the configuration manager. So if I type here configuration manager, you will get the configuration manager console. So click on it, and it's going to connect to the database and site. So you can see we are able to log into our configuration manager client, and here we have administration. We can go and set up the forest discovery. So I'm going to set up the discovery for automatically create active boundary for site which is discovered, and I'm going to run it on every 1 day. And for group, I'm going to add a group, call it like location would be our forest, and click on browse, and I'm going to use my full domain forest origin. So click OK, apply, and you can also schedule the polling. So I'm going to run it system discover group discovery every 1 hour. So, and a system discovery, I'm going to add a path for full domain again, and you can go here and schedule the pooling. So I'm going to do it on 1 hour. And also you have option to discover the attributes for AD, and also we can configure these things, only discover computer that have logged into domain, and you can make it like 30 days or 20 days something as per your requirements. And now I'm going to set the user discovery. So again I'm going to use for full forest. So, and a polling schedule, I'm going to run it on every 1 hour. Let's close it, and now I'm going to run all the discovery manually. So now if I go to assets and compliance, if I click on devices, you can see it's discovered my domain controller, which have only one device in my infra, this demo infra. And if I click on users, you can see it's discovered all the users which is created in Horizon. And the users collection, we have all groups, we have all users like SCCM admin, and we have all groups here. So if I click on administration, you can see here it's automatically created one boundary for us, which is discovered by Active Directory by using this forest discovery. And you can see boundary group, we don't have any boundary group, so I'm going to create one boundary group here, call it like origin BG, and we need to add the boundary. So I'm going to add my boundary, which is origin -ho, and now you can see we have also link here, use this boundary group for the site assignment. So I'm going to add this site, which is my SCCM server basically, and it's assigned to site 001. So apply, and now we have a fully functional SCCM server with its boundary discovery and the users and the devices. So this is all about the installation and post installation configuration for System Center 2016. So if you need our help to set up a System Center configuration manager infra for you, you can contact us. Our contact details is given in below description. Thank you. Bye bye.